Oh, cloaca on my face. Lovely. Hey guys, it's Em. So Clifford is hanging out with me today. Clifford is a Honduran milk snake. He is just one of the most gentle creatures in the world. He's not venomous, in case you're wondering. Okay, Clifford.
Well, this is awkward. Ah!
Remember to hit that subscribe button down below, and also hit that notification bell as well. That way you'll hopefully get notified every time I put up a new video. It doesn't always happen. Seriously, YouTube, you have to sort that out. I'd just like to take a moment to thank today's video sponsor, which is Pets Add Life. Pets Add Life is a national campaign to really show off the positive impact that pets have on our everyday lives, in our communities, and with our mental health as well. They are a non-profit campaign, so please go check out their website, which is down below. It's in my description box. And also, if you have a moment, go check out their YouTube, because they have a YouTube channel and they've got loads of awesome and really funny videos on there too. It's all animal related, it's all positive, so it's well worth looking. Today I'm going to be doing a slightly different video, so I'm a little bit nervous about it. Here goes nothing, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm actually quite astounded by how many of you have come forward to just privately share with me your stories, and that you're going through so many struggles. And I realize there's so many of you who are struggling and battling with depression and anxiety, and it really resonated with me. All the messages that I get, everyone's going, Em, you're so positive, you're so sweet, you're so happy all the time. And I'm thinking, I am positive and I am happy a lot of the time, but you know, that's not always been the case. I've always been incredibly cerebral. I ponder things very deeply, and even as a child I could just sit alone in my room, you know, playing with my toys. I had these little dog figurines and I would ponder some really deep questions. And looking back, you know, I don't know if most 5-year-olds really ponder their existence or their purpose or their meaning in life. I did. I also have very three-dimensional emotions. I feel everything and I am massively empathetic. It can get really overwhelming, you know. It can be a really positive blessing that I am very cerebral and that I feel a lot. You know, I'm very empathetic. I'm a really good listener for people. I love to help my friends out. I love to listen. I love to, you know, give people a shoulder to cry on. But I seem to be like a sponge. I absorb everything. And for the most part, it's been very positive in my life. You know, I absorb a lot of positivity and then I can give it out, you know, tenfold. I absorb everything, but it also means I can absorb negatives as well. If I have like a very traumatic event or I go through something difficult, that can upset me for days or weeks, months, even years. And that's where my anxiety and depression really started. With my ex-boyfriend, who is a great guy, we're still friends, we went through something kind of traumatic, my ex and I, and I'm not going to go into it, I don't think ever, but all you have to know is it was very traumatic and it was something that I never foresaw happening in my life. I spiraled really badly into just the most constricting, dark pit where my days and weeks and months rolled into one. I couldn't distinguish what was day, what was night. I just shut down. And unfortunately before that, you know, my acting career was going really well. The world was at my feet and I was, you know, filming almost every single week a new film or a new feature, and I was really enjoying it. And then after this happened, I didn't want to know. I just stepped back and I hid. I had to just hide myself and try and process my thoughts. I stopped eating. At least I stopped eating good food. I was just surviving off of sugar, which is so bad for you. My skin after this traumatic event, you know, I physically wear my emotions on my face, and if I'm not in a good state of mind, like, I break out really badly. So I had this sort of like hormonal acne all over the top of my forehead, and I had it there for over a year. And everyone who knows me, they know I usually have really decent skin. I feel very lucky to have good skin. But at the time, it was almost like someone had got sandpaper and stuck it on my forehead. I'm not even joking. It was horrendous, and I was so depressed about it. I got into a really bizarre panic where I would fixate on my ex-boyfriend, and I would be so worried about his whereabouts, his health, that he wasn't in a car accident, that I would be calling and texting all the time. I would call him maybe 35 times in an hour, and if he didn't pick up, oh my goodness, I would be texting, I would be asking everyone, have you heard from him? Is he okay? Do you know where he is? And he was just, you know, at work. I should say by this point, you know, my anxiety had got so bad, I didn't leave the house. I quit working completely. I had some savings that I was living off of, but I stopped working. I couldn't even bring myself to get out of bed to brush my teeth. That's how bad it was. You know, sometimes I would go 4 or 5 days and all I would do is get out of bed to go to the toilet and get back into bed. I was not eating, I was not drinking, I was doing nothing. I wasn't alive. Like, there's this expression where the lights are on but nobody is home. That's precisely how it was for me. The lights were on but nobody was home. You know, the postman would come and knock on the door and I would be just hiding. So all these packages were just on my doorstep, collecting dust for days on end, sometimes weeks. You know, I didn't leave the house. When I would go shopping, I would buy loads of just super noodles and just stock up on those and not eat anything except that, because I just didn't care. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about my body. All I cared about was that my boyfriend was okay. And that's not a healthy place to be. It's not a healthy place to be at all. And I, at the time, didn't identify anything with myself as being wrong. I just thought I'm really tired, or I'm just really bored, or I'm just in a down place for the moment. But I can tell you now, it was more than that, a lot more than that. It was not normal behavior in the slightest. I didn't even reply to my friends' text messages for weeks. I wouldn't see them for months. It was because I was just in such a bad place. It got so bad that actually I ended up moving into my boyfriend's parents' house with him, just so that when he would go to work, I could just stay in bed and just smell him there. And that was my comfort. Like, I like smell, you know, even now with Danny, you know, his smell is everything to me. The smell of my animals, I smell everything. I've got a really keen sense of smell. It brings me a lot of comfort, familiar smells. So for my ex and I, you know, he'd get up and go to work and I would stay there, and like I'd be on the phone to him while he was driving, which is not safe, but I just needed to know that he was okay. And then he would be at work with the animals, because he was also an animal educator, and I'd have to be talking to him the whole time. Then he'd have to talk to me after his show, all the drive back to dropping off the animals and the drive back to me, and then as soon as I saw him, the world was okay. It was obsessive. It was a very bad way for me to deal with my issues at the time. I wasn't dealing with it. He was a band-aid for my issues. He actually gave me an ultimatum at one point. It was in a nice way. He gave me an ultimatum. He was like, look, if this is going to work between us, you need to sort this out. So you need to go to your doctor. And I went to my doctor and I explained everything, you know, and I was still in a lot of denial. And my doctor said to me, you know, I would diagnose you with having, you know, depression. We want to give you fluoxetine. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not depressed. There's nothing wrong with me. I just want you to run a couple of tests and see, maybe my iron is low, or maybe my blood sugar is not right, my blood pressure, I don't know. I didn't think of myself as being depressed. I'd always thought of myself as a really strong person. I didn't know that I was broken at this point to the extreme. I was a shell of who I was. And he said to me, we're gonna prescribe you antidepressants. So he actually gave me a prescription. I never used it. The way that things work in the UK is your doctor gives you a prescription and then you take it to a pharmacy and they give you your prescription, and they check it for you and everything. I never went because I am so scared of pills. I would even today, I barely even take an aspirin. I maybe take the occasional multivitamin. That's it. I don't like putting things in my body. So after I gave back my prescription, I decided to try something different and I went to see a counselor. Best decision ever. The very first couple of sessions, bearing in mind I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go at all, but my ex actually encouraged me to go and talk to someone because he'd spoken to someone in the past. So I went to go and speak to a counselor and I thought that I was fine. You know, I rocked up there thinking, you know, 2-3 sessions, I'll get this off my chest and bang, I'll be fixed. Nope. I arrived to speak to this amazing woman. I'm just gonna call her Jay, and if she ever watches this, then I want her to know that she helped me so much. I won't say her full name, just Jay. So I rocked up there and the very first session, all I could do is cry. I literally sat down, you know, I extended my hand, I shook her hand, I was like, thank you so much for seeing me. We sat down, I realized I was opposite someone who just, you know, she looked at me, I knew she got it, you know, she could see my pain that I was hiding from everyone. And the barriers that I put up just came down. I cried so hard, and I just let everything out, and for the first time, like, I felt human, because up until this point I hadn't cried. I was keeping everything inside me, and whenever I would get my anxiety attacks or I would get into a deep depression, either I would feel nothing, which was when I'd be depressed, you know, I would sit against the radiator in my house or in my boyfriend's house and just stare off into nothing, just blank. I would have hours and hours, sometimes up to 8 hours would pass. I would not know anything. I couldn't hold on to a single thought. It was like I was just off, you know, like on standby mode, just not alive, not quite there. And then whenever I'd have an anxiety attack, it honestly felt like oh, how can I explain it? Okay, imagine you're laying on a mattress and someone drops another mattress bang on top of you and starts to apply pressure and smother you. That is how it felt to me, with my heart rate going 110 miles an hour, being unable to calm down, and I'd get the shakes as well. And I'd never had this before. I've never been an anxious person. You know, in my childhood I was never anxious. I've always been, you know, very sure of myself. So this was a very strange occurrence for me. I didn't know how to deal with it. I just thought I was going crazy or loopy, and I was okay with it. I know it's really weird to say, but I was. So the very first time that I sat opposite Jay and she spoke to me, or let me speak rather, because she just sat there and listened, everything came out, and it was literally just like just being grounded. Suddenly everything that was negative just got sucked out of my body. I just needed to talk. I started to go back to see Jay once a week for like an hour, and I worked through everything that I was suppressing from that horrible event that me and my ex went through. And you know, slowly but surely she started to realize that I would always bring the conversation back to animals. And she said to me, Emma, do you have many animals at home? I said, no, I've only got, you know, one animal. I've actually not been taking care of her as well as I should. You know, she was a snake. Car, my snake Car that I have behind me, I was barely feeding her. I was barely doing anything because I wasn't even looking after myself. And you know what, I'm really ashamed to say that I wasn't looking after her. But when you're that clouded, you don't even realize that things around you, like my plants had died. You know, I wasn't even looking after my own plants, and I love my plants, but they all died. And luckily Car was fine. She was the only animal I had at the time. And Jay said to me, you know, why don't you go home and really, you know, look after your snake? You know, your baby needs you. So I thought, okay, I went home and just, you know, as soon as I felt myself getting into this dark place, I went to change her water. And I spent like a good 45 minutes scrubbing out that water bowl. And I felt good because I was being productive, and that's what I needed. I needed to be productive and not allow myself to just get stuck like being on glue or on repeat in a negative thought or a negative way of thinking. So every time I felt down, I'd fish her out, and I'd literally do what I'm doing right now with Clifford. I would just hold her because she's such a great snake. I would just hold her and stroke her and really look at her and examine her, and I'd feel good. And then I realized, you know, it was coming up to summer, it was getting nice and warm. Maybe I'll take her outside into the garden. So I did. And that was great. That got me outside. And slowly but surely, my confidence came back. I was starting to answer more of my friends' calls. I was going out more. I decided to get a haircut, you know, and by this point my hair was, I mean, if you think my hair is crazy nowadays, you should have seen it then. It was just, I looked like Hagrid from Harry Potter. That's who I looked like. I looked like Hagrid. It was terrible. In fact, my first haircut that I had after slowly coming out of this depression and anxiety stage of my life, my hairdresser said to me that he felt that he should be charging more because he was worried he was going to catch like rabies from my hair. Yeah. Slowly but surely, I actually acquired a few more animals. I did a bit of rescue. That made me feel really good. I'd bring in unwanted animals and get them used to handling, get them up to health, and then find them a great home. And this was getting me out there more. And eventually I thought, I want to be outside a little bit more. What more can I do? So I started advertising myself just as an informal dog walker. I had a couple of clients who wanted me to just do a little bit of dog walking. And this wasn't my doggy daycare. I actually went on a couple of years ago to open a doggy puppy daycare, which was really successful. I loved it. This was before that though. I was just seeing maybe 2 or 3 dogs a week and giving them an afternoon walk or a morning walk, sometimes both. So I would do that, and that was great because dogs don't judge you. You know, at this point I still wasn't ready to really interact with people. So interacting with animals was safe for me, and I would be given the keys by different people. I'd go pick up the dog, take it for a walk, and it's the most amazing feeling to be in such a cloudy place and then to open a door and have this happy, like, dogs have this like smiley face that they do when they're happy to see you. Their tongue out, they're like, hey, what's up, we're gonna go for a walk. And it would just immediately put a smile on my face, and immediately the negativity would start to leave. It was like it was being washed under me. It felt like being covered in a negativity paint and then standing under a warm shower and watching it like just run off of me. That was how it felt. It was amazing. And then being outside with dogs, especially I would walk on Hampstead Heath a lot, and there's a lot of dog walkers up on Hampstead Heath, a lot of dog people, and it's impossible not to talk to other people. And being with these dogs, people would come up and say, hey, nice dog, or what breed of dog is that? And I would be talking to people, and suddenly I wasn't getting anxious about it, and I'd be going home and, you know, dropping off the dogs and thinking, what next? And I thought, yes, this is me. I'm coming back. Like, I'm still not me, but I'm coming back. And honestly, it took me about 2 years to really come out of this really dark place that I was in. And I'm really proud of myself today because I feel not only better than where I was, you know, during that depressed time, I feel like even the person I was before all the depression, before the anxiety, I'm stronger than even that person now, and I don't let these things bother me. And I'm really proud to say that I haven't had like an anxiety attack. I didn't have them before that period of my life, but I haven't had one now for maybe another 2 years, so that's amazing. I can catch a thought and I can process it for a moment. I can give it the consideration that it needs. I can think, why am I having this? Okay, do I want to have this? No. What can I do to get rid of this and make sure it doesn't come back? Like, I can address it from the root. It's like pulling out a weed from the root. That's how I deal with it now. I have to say, like, these days I feel very free, and the second that I am not feeling free, the second that I can feel that heart rate increase a little bit more, because it is normal for people, it comes and it goes. The second that happens, I just hold my animals close, or I look after them, or I grab my ferrets, hold them up to my face and take the deepest whiff of these stinky weasels, and I know life is fine. Like, no matter how dark today is, tomorrow the sun will rise and it will be beautiful. I'm also really lucky that I've got friends that I can rely on. You know, I've had to learn to open up to my friends, and even this video, people are gonna watch this and go, I didn't know this, because I'm a very private person a lot of the time. If I'm feeling down, I feel like I'm weak, and I'd never say that about anybody else. If my friends came to me and said like, I'm having these issues, I'd be like, come here, let me give you a hug, let's talk this out. And I'll give them all my time. But the second that I have to go to someone and say like, I'm not okay, I feel like a failure. And that's just my own pride. It doesn't mean that I am a failure, and it doesn't mean that you are too, but I've had to learn to open up to people. And by opening up to people, I feel like I give them the license to open up to me as well. You know, it's very reciprocal. You know, sometimes you give a bit of yourself to someone, they give a bit back. You allow yourself to be vulnerable with other people, they allow themselves to be a bit vulnerable with you too, and the circle goes round and round. That is my armpit, my darling, come here. You don't want to go in there. And that's why I truly believe in the healing power of animals. There's a reason people do pony therapy for those with disabilities and swimming with dolphins for those who have depression. There is a reason that these things exist. It's because pets do lower our heart rates. They do calm us down a lot. So if you are going through tough struggles and you don't have a pet, maybe consider doing something on the weekends, you know, volunteering, or you know, fostering. If you can't give a dog, for example, a home for an indefinite amount of time, you can always foster. It's amazing what animals can do for you. And you know, when you're also rescuing animals in return, it is just the best feeling in the world. Of course, you don't have to rescue. You know, some people like to buy their own pets, and that's fine too. Just whatever animals you do decide to bring into your life, make sure that you can afford them, both in terms of finances, that you can keep keep feeding them and give them the right veterinary care because they deserve it, and also that you can give them what they require in terms of your time as well. Definitely, if you are going to bring an animal into your life, you will reap the benefits, but remember to give them something back in return. I would love to hear your stories as well. Do you have a service animal? Do you have an animal that really helped to save you? If you feel comfortable sharing it, write it in the comment section below, share it with people. That would be amazing of you. Also, again, thank you so much to Pets at Life for being today's sponsor. Please go check them out on their YouTube channel. They are so lovely for having sponsored this video, and I'm very, very grateful. And Clifford is too, so thank you to Pets at Life. Should we give Pets at Life some kisses? Boop. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in another video very, very soon. Say bye, Clifford.